Welcome to QHSC Concepts Welding and NDT. Today I have brought for you another checklist. In this checklist, this is called as Quality Control QC Surveillance Checklist. So what happens is QC inspector goes to the site every day and he is going there to check fit up, or they is going there to check the welding visual inspection. He is going there for so many reasons on the site. Maybe he has an RFI for doing hydro testing or witnessing something. So when he goes there, he is actually not observing anything particularly, because what happens usually when you are going to the site, you should keep your mind open and you have to observe, stop somewhere, observe things, and you have to do like that. And then that is what is called as surveillance. So nobody is doing surveillance like that. So we've come up with a checklist which QCs can use and do the surveillance. So in this checklist, you will see, you will remember all these things, because when you go to the site, you will not remember what to check, or you will not have, your mind is somewhere, you're not doing the job proper methodically. So you can, if you are going to witness something, you have some 1 hour left with you or something, you can go and do this site surveillance. Usually this site surveillance you can do early in the morning, because once the site is checked properly and the job starts, then on usually the mistakes are less. But what happens if QC is not checking the site in the early in the morning, the welders or the fabricators will come, whatever they will start, they will continue that practice for the full day, and then the client goes to the site and then he observes so many problems. So one can use this surveillance checklist to find issues and give this surveillance checklist to supervisor or foreman or whoever is there in your company like that, and then he can rectify this issue immediately. So he will rectify this and sign it down and then give you back. So here you can make 2 to 3 columns, one for QC, one for for production, and one for QC coming back to him. So just look, let's see what are the checklist points. So you can also use this checklist in your site, and you will see the quality will be good, and also over the period of time issues are there that can get resolved. So you will see, you can also mail this to the management, or you can also mail this to project manager or whoever is there on a day-to-day basis. So let's have a look at this checklist, how it is used. So it has date, area representative means the foreman name. You can do this walk with the foreman or supervisor along with them, instead of doing single alone, so that whenever you find the issue, you can point that and then fill this up and give him, then he will rectify the issue. This is all for continual improvement for long-term purpose. So these, you can use this as a tool basically. So let's go ahead and quickly check what are the things to check on site. So identification and weldability of materials. Under that category, all permanent material are identified, marked, stamped with proper traceability. So we have to check the material on site. If you find any material on site which is not having heat number or your unique ID system in your company, whatever you follow, or color code. Color code is the next one. Next color. Some people are following color code, some people are not. So if you find any issue here, you can reject here, and below you have some space where you can write some comments in the notes, and you can give it to them for rectification. Then it is having accept, reject by QC, not applicable, and then remarks. So all the permanent material, okay. Then the color coding used in the project, if it is not marked, then you can mark this as well. Joint preparation and cleanliness. So an approved WPS has to be used, is available at the weld site. So let us say somebody is welding, quickly you have to go and check what WPS is using, and that it should be there on the WPS board. That check also you can do with this. Then the welder who is welding, you can check whether the joint number is written next to it and verified to confirm that it is also there in the weld map drawings. You can just get that in the site if you have a proper system of storage of drawings in the site. So all welders, so this is all random checks, they're not 100%. So you can check randomly like this. Then all welders, welding operators shall be qualified in accordance with AWS D1.1 or DNV, whatever marine class you are using there, as applicable for all welding, including tacking, temporary welds, and repair welds. So you can just check one welder ID and just check that whether he is qualified for that position, qualified for that process, and qualified as per that material requirement for that, whether the P group that he is welding. This check you can do very easily. Then the welder is welding as per his range qualification position. That's what I told you. Then what is welding there? Is there any oil mixture, rust scale? Many times we observe that they are not cleaning properly and they are welding on that. So metallic coatings and other particles. So you have to see basically the area is clean or not. And if there is unprotected welding going on where wind is blowing, so all this you can check in this. We will come to welding environment. You can check that. But here area basically cleanliness of the area. Then welding machines are calibrated or not. This is also a quick check you can do. Then check WPS on welded component and cross check with WPS on board for thickness range. Very important. This has to be checked regularly. If your workshop is having a lot of thickness range being welded, then there is a risk that some welder may be welding on range which he is not qualified for. It may happen. Then welding environment, windshields or tents are installed when wind is strong enough to affect the arc stability or shielding gas coverage. So whether they are using the proper windshields. So welding is not done during the inclement weather, when the wind and sand is blowing, and of course when it is raining outside. So welding should not be done in the open rain. There should be proper protection. That check also you can do on site. So condition of storage and exposure of SMAW electrodes. So whatever electrodes, filler wires they are using, if they are properly kept or not. That is one big check you can do, whether they are using quiver or if they are using vacuum pack. You can check the vacuum pack. Behind that, the store will always mention the issue date, and it is only valid for 10 hours maximum. So once the vacuum pack is open, or after 10 hours, it is supposed to be returned. So what usually happens is night shift is given the handover to day shift. Some welders are saying, okay, this I have not used much. This vacuum pack you can use in the day. And when we come to the day, it is saying that it is issued in night and already 10 hours have been passed. So this electrode, either it should go for scrap, or either it should be at least one time baked before you are going to be reusing that. Only one time it is allowed. So that is what it's all about, hydrogen pickup control. Then let's check preheat. Preheat temperature shall be established over a minimum distance of 75 mm from each side of the weld as per WPS. So any preheat is there, then it has to be checked with a digital temperature gauge. You can check that, or you can use a temple stick for that temperature range, which is always available with the welder. And you can also check whether he is having or not. If he is not having, then you can mention this. This is a problem. So temperature indicating crayons, thermocouples or contact parameters are used in and to check the preheat and interpass temperature. Then welders, fabricators are reading notice board or not. That also you should check. You are pasting so many information on the notice board, whether people are reading or not. So welders are using appropriate temperature chalks. That I told you already. Then what about the fabricators? So arc strike, gouging and all that surface imperfection removed by grinding. They are doing that or not. Simply there is marking and no one is attending. Temporary attachments have been cut off. That is also you have to check whether they are using hammer to remove or they are properly removing by gas cutting or not. Then grinding does not reduce the base metal thickness. And excessive grinding, we have seen that grinder welders and fabricators are doing excessive grinding on the parent material, which reduces the thickness. So we have to tell them that you should not do. So anybody is doing like that, then you have to find out that unnecessary grinding should not be done except the welding area, bevel area only. And that is very important. And if they want to do any removal of anything, they can do buffing, but not grinding. A lot of sites I have seen that grinder laga hua hai, so they're going to use the grinder only. They are not taking the the pain of removing that grinder, putting the buffing wheel, and then doing the buffing rather than grinding, because grinding will remove thickness very rapidly. Then of course notice board properly maintained or not. So in this also you need to, so many other checkpoints can be there. basically you can use this checklist and you can come up with issues, and then you can mention that so that it is properly checked and it is in time. So this is the video. I am going to leave it right now with here. So if any